Honored to see just a huge turnout of staff today. You are the reason why we are here. Thank you, and we welcome you to attending the Critical Conversations meeting with our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Orsies J. Beasley. This meeting is held as an opportunity for you to share and exchange information, as your support, your input is critical to our endeavor of reaching a school district that's committed to high performance. So we want you to take this opportunity today to make sure you engage, ask questions, share ideas, as our superintendent is expecting to hear from you. Again, this platform is designed for you to share and exchange information with our superintendent so we can make this school district the best performing school district in the nation. If you have not had an opportunity to sign in, I know many of you were concerned about that, please do so on your way out. We wanted to make sure that we stick to the time frame that we have allotted for the meeting today. So as you depart, if you haven't signed in, please do so on your way out. And just a few housekeeping rules. We ask that you turn your cell phones down or silence them, as we are recording this event today. And please hold all of your questions to the end of Dr. Beasley's remarks, and we'll be sure to entertain all of them today. So again, welcome. And without further delay, I'd like to welcome to the podium our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Orsies J. Beasley.
All right. I know why y'all are here today. I already know. The first thing they want me to know is, we won a bonus. Thank you all for being here today. As you all were coming in here, I thought to myself, who's answering the phones? Well, I am so glad that you all decided that this was important enough for you to at least come. Give yourselves a hand. Well, this is really my first opportunity since becoming superintendent to really have this conversation. We've had to reschedule this event, so I'm glad we were able to get it in before the end of September. We've been in school for about 8 weeks now, feels like 10 weeks or more. But we're having school, aren't we? We're having school. But thank you all again for being here on today. We don't want anybody. Here's some seats right here. It's okay to sit on the front row. Right here. Come on. Right here. There you go. I'll be sure to call on you. Well, thank you all for the warm welcome. I just appreciate the opportunity to serve as the superintendent of Clayton County Public Schools. How many of you know we have a great school system here? Let's give it up for our school system. And we're going to continue to work together to make it even better. And so, what I'd like to do very quickly, if you will, I'm going to just highlight the areas of focus very quickly. And just briefly talk about the data and what we're trying to do relative to the data, what we are going to do relative to the data, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A for you to share, etc., things that you think I need to consider as we make decisions and going forward. So your feedback will be very informative on today. So the first thing, we have some areas of focus, and they're projected here, but how many of you have already seen this in email? Raise your hand. Very good. I know you're checking emails, but you should have seen this information. You should have seen the video or the live streaming when you came back to school. Hopefully you participated in that, right? And so you'll hear these areas of focus. You should have heard, and you'll hear them again today and in other opportunities as well. But the first one is ensuring that we have academically challenging and safe environments. It's very important that our students are getting the best instructional experience in every classroom, in every school. So I'm working with principals and others and teachers to remove and to eliminate all variability between the quality of instruction. A student should be able to get high levels of instruction in every classroom, in every school, And so that's one of our number one priorities, is to ensure that our students are learning their grade level content and that they're mastering that content. Number two is providing academic and wraparound support. We know that there are times wherein our students may need additional support, tutoring. They may have some gaps and deficits that impact how they're learning in the current grade. And so we're working to provide academic support and wraparound support for those issues that may occur outside of the classroom, but they impact what happens or the responses that our students have inside the classroom. So we're working to address that. Number three, professional development. Ensuring that our staff members, teachers in particular, are improving in their content knowledge, their pedagogy, their instructional practices. Our leaders are improving in their leadership skills and abilities. Teacher leaders are improving, and that all of our employees are improving and enhancing themselves so we can be a high-performing school system. The fourth area is family and community engagement, governmental relations and partnerships, expanding those in support of the work that we're doing in every school, grounded in responsiveness. It's important that we're responsive to our community. If it were not for our community, all of us would have to go somewhere else, myself included, and find employment. There would be no reason for the school system if it were absent families, would it? No reason. And that's why it's important, and customer service is very important. To me, personally, it is important to this organization. How we respond. And you'll see, how many of you, and be honest, how many of you have emailed me since I've been superintendent? Raise your hand. Y'all notice their hands. Put your hands down. How many of you can say I did not respond? And I'm pretty busy. But I respond. It may be at 5, 4 in the morning. But I respond. I think it's important to extend to people the same courtesy that you expect. And so you'll see that it's just my practice and my expectation that we are responsive and that we provide excellent customer service. One thing I have low tolerance for, my wife doesn't let me get mean, is meanness and crudeness and low downness. I'll tell y'all this story. My first year of marriage, we got married. You know how you go through your first year of marriage stuff. And my wife said something to me, and I said something back. She said, "You so low down." I said, "That's not even a word." And she said, "Yes, it is. Go to the dictionary." And I went to the dictionary, and it said, "low down." I said, "Oh, I felt I had to go under a rock path." So from that moment on, I said, "I'm gonna be never low down the rest of my life." And so I've been trying to do and be the best person, kindest person, most generous person. And we've been married almost 27 years because of that. But I just think it's important to treat people right. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
It should be. And so you all, I'm so glad this room is full. You all are oftentimes the first ones people see when they call or walk into the office. And so it's important that customer service is important. You know, I know we get busy, don't we? But it's okay to lift your head up and say, "Man, it's good to see you. I'll be with you in a second." Isn't that good? I tell you what I've done. I've gone into establishments to spend money. Folk didn't acknowledge me. I kept my money. I said, "They just don't know who this was." I ain't Oprah. But I got a little bit to spend. So I'll spend it somewhere else. Imagine if all of our parents said they'll take their children somewhere, then we would all be looking for somewhere else. Y'all hear me? And so let me tell you something. I learned years ago to be grateful for what you got. Because when you're not thankful, life has a way of taking away what you're not thankful for to help you get a little gratitude, and then it may give it back to you. It may. And so that's a little game. I don't want God to play with me. So I just be thankful for all things so I can keep all things. And so I say that to say this, everybody. Let's treat our people right. And y'all are some of my first frontline people. When they walk into the office, I know you're busy. And I know Johnny just got on your nerve. You know he did. You know he did. But you got to say, hold it, Johnny. Hi, Mom. I'm dealing with Johnny, but I'll be with you in a second. And you got to smile and mean it. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, that goes a long way in our district. That goes a long way. Because the truth of the matter is people want to know that when they drop their children off at our schools, that they have adults who care. And I'll tell you this, another personal story. When my wife and I were having our twins, we were at St. Vincent's Hospital in Birmingham. And we had a team of doctors because she had twins. We had twins. So she had a team of doctors because she was considered high risk. Y'all know how all that goes, right? But there was one doctor, he was so low down. He was low down. And I told the head doctor, let me tell you what, when my babies come out, I said, you better not let him touch them. I said, they can't let somebody that low down. Somebody that low down can't be the first hands that touch my children. And I meant it. And do you know the whole team was there on the day that she went into labor in the room? But he was not allowed. And I meant exactly what I said. Can't be low down and mean and be around my children. Y'all hear me? Now, I may fuss at him. I may even come close to cussing at him. Close, but hadn't done that yet. But you don't have that right. Y'all hear me? And we got to remember that these are our children. And so we treat these like our children. And we respect that people bring their children to us. Y'all hear me? And I love children. I guess that's why I served as a youth pastor and all of that. I didn't know that one day I'd be dealing with 54,000 children. But I love children. And I know that if we do right by children, somehow life will do right by you.
I believe that.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
And just remember that if you don't hear anything else I say, just do right by children. Sow good seeds in the lives of children, and you will eat good fruit for a long time. Y'all hear me? And lastly, communications, public relations, and marketing. And this is what this is important while we come together. Because remember, you all, I can do a survey right now. How many of you want, if money becomes available, you want me to advocate for an increase in your pay? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. But let me tell you why I want you to see your hands. Because it's easy for me to advocate when all this community is saying is good stuff. They're saying these folks respond to us. When you walk in any school, they give you the best customer service. When you send an email, within a day, you know you got a response. I'm not saying they say what we want them to say, but they respond. I'm telling you, it makes it a lot easier. And if you go back in my, I know some of y'all went back and studied with call folk at the camp, what he like. One thing those folk in the camp and everywhere else will tell you, if there's an opportunity to increase your pay, he's going to make sure it happens. Because I don't think we get paid enough. So, with that being stated, my ask of you is to make it easy for me. Y'all hear me? By ensuring that Like we're working with principals and teachers, working to increase the test scores. It's hard for folks to tell you no, but the test scores are going in the right direction. Y'all hear me? We're going to make sure that we have the best customer service, that our parents see us as highly competent, highly skilled, highly responsive. And I'm telling you, that makes it so much easier when funds are right and available to show support, whether it be increases in our salaries or mid-year bonuses or sign-in bonuses or whatever it is. I'm telling you, you gotta take my advice, take this wisdom. It makes it so much easier when we're all on the same page. Y'all hear me? And we're all going in the same what? Direction. And I can promise you, the page that I'm on is all about children performing at higher levels. The page that we're on is all about children performing at higher levels, about serving our community the way it should and deserves to be served. And I can promise you this, we will be a high-performing school district, and this community will support us as employees of a high-performing school district. They will. They will. So, very quickly, what does our data look like? I'm just going to talk about it today. Right now, we've got on average, y'all listen to this, just in case you didn't know this. When our students take the Georgia Milestones, and that's the state test, right? When they take the Georgia Milestones, there are 4 categories that they can basically perform in. The lowest 2 categories are what we call the beginning level and the developing level. Those are the lowest 2 performance categories. The highest 2 categories, which would be on grade level and above, would be proficient and distinguished. Right now, about on average, 75% of our students in every grade and in most subjects are at the lowest 2 levels. Our work is to flip the data and have 75 and 80 and 90% of them at the highest 2 what? So I share that with you because it's so important that we build coherence, and that's the word that I use with principals and teachers. Everybody on the same page, they understand the vision, the same page going in the same direction because we know what our work is. Our work right now, and I need all of you to help us get the word out. Our work is we don't have time for drama. We've got to move our kids from the lowest 2 levels to the highest what? 2 levels. And as we do that, we will see our school system, our school district, go to higher levels of performance. Now you say, okay, so what do I have to do with that? People think that improving test scores or student achievement happens overnight. It doesn't. It happens only in a culture of high performance. You create a culture of high performance every day. Right now, as we are having this conversation and we're getting on the same page, we are creating a culture. The culture should be that when you come to work for Clayton, we got a vision. First of all, we got work to do. We got to move our kids from the 2 what? To the 2 what? And we don't need anybody to distract us from our what? Our work. So when you all bring in new teachers and your principals hire new teachers and you all provide support to them, it's okay to say, now you know what the work is, right? You know how sometimes you hire people into the family and they want to come with drama. Like, wait a minute. Tell them, not today. Not this year. That was a new administration. We got work to do. We got to move our students. And so it's so important that you all, that's why I'm so glad you're here, that you all realize how critical of a role you play in that work. Everybody has a position to play. The classroom teacher, let them play their role. Support them. You see they struggling? Say, You know, some of y'all are a little motherly. Come here, baby, let me help you out. Tell Johnny to sit down, and you get up from your seat and teach. Why? Because we're all on the same what? The same page. Their success is going to translate into our success, your success. Your success translates into what? You got relationships, y'all know some of them bad little children. You know, you can tell now, you know your mama don't play that. Now you sit down. And the truth of the matter is, I wish all of them, 99% of them good, but there's some rough ones out there. Y'all say, you know there are. But they don't mean any harm. They just being children. As much as I love mine, and sometimes they irk me, but I step back and say, they doing the same thing I did to my mama and my family. And you got to give them the grace, don't you? The grace to just be who? Children. So I'm counting on you all. If I have a request of you, is to work with your principals and your teachers to help create that culture of high performance so we can flip. Take the majority of our students from the two lowest levels to the two what? Highest levels. Provide that excellent customer service. To be competent. Our community, I want our community to trust us as an organization and as a group of professionals. How do you build trust? By having competence. When people see that you know what you're doing, you're doing good at the work, you're producing good results, they will trust you. Trust you. And I just ask that you all give us a chance to build that trust. I can assure you we're going to work hard and we're going to be competent. We're going to show you that we can do this work together and that we can produce excellence and high levels of performance together. All I ask of you is to work with your school team, whatever school team you're on, and then you all work with each other to give our community, our students, the very best that we can give them. And if there are resources, if there are areas that we need to improve in, when we come together, let's talk about those areas. There may be some things we can do this year. There may be some things we got to plan out over a series of years. That's okay. But let's talk about those areas and let's work diligently and collaboratively to improve in those areas. We spend a lot of time, when I say we, all of us in here, we spend a lot of time giving to this organization, don't we? You know what? I'm determined that if I'm going to work somewhere, I'm going to work happy. So anybody who's unhappy, you need to go somewhere else. But I'm going to work happy. I'm not going to die doing this. I will enjoy it. It can be stressful at times, but I'm going to go to the gym, work off a little bit. I'm going to get rid of that stress. I'm going to be polite to people, stay focused on the work, see some good results. But one thing I'm not going to do is be unhappy. I've never worked anywhere that I wasn't happy. I'm serious. I'm not. And the day I get unhappy, that's my personal philosophy. There are 180 nations, 50 states, in many cities in those 50 states. There are many places. And like my wife always says, if the river dry up in Georgia, there's a lot of rivers. I said, we got a good river right now. Right here in Clayton. And all of us, y'all, we all have a good river, don't we? And so let's be happy with what we do. So I said what I'm going to say. I know some of you emailed me. I love you all. And why didn't we get a bonus? I can't answer that. All I can tell you is this, that as we go forward and we redesign, as funds become available, and we redesign the bonuses and the incentives, we're going to structure things a little differently. Because one thing I don't want, and I've never liked this, you can't have some people thinking that their contribution is valued and others thinking that their contribution. And so, it's important that as we frame these opportunities, that we show respect for everyone in the org that contributes to the organization. Would y'all agree with that? Yes. And so going forward, you have my commitment. Who are those people? Anybody who emailed me here, raise your hand. You here? She said, I did. But I want you to stand up because, let me tell you, you're a leader. You emailed the superintendent, you got to stand up. Let me tell you how she did it. Let me tell you how she did it. You did it the right way, and I wanted to commend you. That's why I'm glad you're here. Well, she emailed and she just shared, her story, her contribution, and basically said, just, consider this going forward. I said, now that's somebody. And did I respond? And my point is, when I go, as we move forward, there's no way I will not be able to consider that. I said, because she sowed such a good seed in my mind and in my heart that it's going to bring forth some good fruit in at the right time. And so, I commend you because you spoke for the whole group. You spoke for the whole group. So this is what I need us to do. One thing I need us to do, we got to continue to consider. Look, she's going to keep that. I like her. What's her name? No, I like her. But this is what I want us to do, you all. Let's continue to just work hard and just know that as we implement and consider and things change and our position changes in some regard, we're going to bring forward the right type of initiatives and recommendations to our board that affirms the contribution that all of us are making to this organization. You got to know me enough to know if I tell you I'm going to do that, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay? So, customer service. I need us participating in customer service training around the district. I need us frontline people. We ought to be smiling, shouldn't we? And greeting, shouldn't we? Responding to our parents. I shouldn't, and honestly, and I hadn't so far this year, I shouldn't get any emails from parents saying how rude people are, should I? That shouldn't even be the case. How rude and unresponsive. Those are things that I call foundational things. There just comes a time when you got to move from the foundational things and you got to go on to greater things. And as long as we're dealing with foundational things, how can you get to greater? Amen. If you're dealing with foundational things. Customer service is what? Foundation. You just do that. We all know. That's kindergarten stuff. Treat people the way you want to be what? Treated. Come on now. Why do I have to say that? And we model that for our students. Go beyond that. And let's achieve high levels of performance in our school district. So Jada, we got a large group here. Yes, sir. And I know somebody wants to say something. So how are we going to do this?
Project your voice today. We have one mic, the other one is in Dr. Beasley's hand. Okay. We're going to do our best to try to pass this one mic around, but if you can project your voice, can everyone hear me from the back, what I just said? Yes. Do the same. We'll make it work today.
Thank you.
First question, then raise your hand, and we'll come to you, and keep them raised or ever so in the back, and I'll come back to you, and we'll go in order. And we'll make sure.
I see 1 and 2.
We'll make sure.
And you are 3. You're 3, okay, so don't make me forget 3. Don't allow me to forget 3.
I'll come to you, but
2,
don't
3.
come to you in advance. Project.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Beasley.
Thank you.
And everyone associated. I'm over a 25-year veteran with the county. Enjoyed every second of it, been in the same school the entire time. My concern is that as a long-term person, my longevity has prevented me from being able to step anymore. So what that does is, it makes an older person like me say, oh, time to go, because I can't make another dime here. My question to you is there any plans to do anything about your long-term people in the county?
That's a great question. So you would be pleased to know that part of our conversations with the finance department is to look at our pay scales and to acknowledge that the longer an employee stays with us, that there should be some opportunities, improvement, if you will, on those scales. And so we're looking at that. So but we're looking at it comprehensively. So we're looking at it for all employee groups, the certified, non-certified, etc. And so we're thinking that over time, over a period of time, we'll be able to roll out a plan. But our thinking was that as we roll out this plan, we've got some challenges relative to, as you just spoke to those who have been with the organization the longest, and sometimes their increases are not as consistent as other groups or those who have not been. So we're working to address that, and at some point you will see a plan to address that. What I would say to you is this: as a long-term employee, hang on in here with us. Give us time, because we do have to strengthen our fiscal position. Okay? We've got to make sure that we got enough money, if you will. Once you budget and you create these opportunities for increases, you got to sustain it. And what I don't want to do is get in a position where we budget for something and we can't sustain it, or I got to reduce the number of employees. I don't like that type of decision making. And so we want to plan for it the right way, make sure that our fiscal position can sustain it over time, and I think everybody will benefit from that, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Beasley, my question, and thank you for allowing us to be here, is I've been in the district since 1998, minus 1 year due to a reduction in force. My question to you is, those of us in this room do not get paid for our years of experience. And it's a huge bone of contention for us, and I know when I came back from that reduction in force, I had to start off at the bottom. And it greatly, and I love this district. There's really nowhere else I really want to be, but there are times when, as you say, we're not really unhappy, but sometimes that little extra money jingle in our pocket makes us want to go somewhere.
It adds a Y to that word happy, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I don't think there's a person in here that would not appreciate being paid for their years of experience. If they come in with years of experience just like our certified people do, our classified people do not get that same opportunity.
Thank you for the question. Good question. You should know, clearly I must be doing the right work, because I've had some conversations, and so we are planning, as we go forward, we are working to change that practice, and we're working to plan out how we're going to go back and correct that for the various employee groups. And whether you know it or not, I didn't even get the years of experience when I came into the district. So they robbed me. So you know I'm gonna fix that one, right? I'm gonna fix that. But yes, we are working to address that. So again, as and because some of these are long-term solutions, we've got to plan them out as our fiscal position changes. We're working, and I'm working with the finance department, meeting with them every 2 weeks now, so we can plan things out as we see our fiscal position strengthen over time. So yes, and we just know that I'm in the same, we're here. Number 3. Hello.
Thanks for the opportunity. My question is under customer service, may not be the right place or time, but since it's dealing with customer service for middle school, how come we have to enroll to 3:30? We leave at 4.
Well, that's a good question, and I guess I'll respond to you this way. I believe that sometimes parents and others, they come when they can come. And as long as we're in the building, because honestly, life is happening to everybody. I just think that we have to acknowledge they're our customers. We have to acknowledge them and get them enrolled. And so we're working, and we made some adjustments to ensure that we get these young people, we acknowledge it. Sometimes we don't realize this, but there are some people, when they come, leave work, they don't get paid.
That's correct, but then part 2 to this is we don't get overtime.
I understand, and let me say this,
Or comp time.
and you should be, we can't give you comp time if you're not an exempt employee, we gotta pay you overtime. And so,
We don't get it.
are you exempt? It depends on if you're exempt or non-exempt status. That's a,
We
legal.
don't get it, secretaries, we don't get overtime, we don't comp time.
Okay, so you all must be exempt employees. So what I would say to you in this regard, work with your principal, and that's an area that I may have to discuss with the principals, okay?
Yeah, my bookkeeper is present, so.
Oh. I said I didn't even discuss that with your principal. She said my bookkeeper is present. So I thought maybe that was the principal. But that's an area clearly that we'll have to discuss with principals. Okay?
Hey, Mr. Beasley, what's going on?
It's good to see you, sir.
This is my first time working in the county. I got 2 masters, and my wife really made me get a job, kind of sort of. So I went on and got the job as a paraprofessional, right? But I didn't know how much I was getting paid. I'm in this kind of range with my masters and with what I'm gonna be doing, helping out teachers and stuff. So once I got in there, signed everything, and I had talked to the young lady who was over the money or the finance, and she was like, "Well, your check gonna be like $1,300." And it kind of like, I almost started crying when I'm in a real situation. Because now I can't get no insurance. I can't really get no counsel. I can't really get nothing. Like today, I'm trying to come home and stick it on.
Well, I got a career that I recommend. Comedian. But I hear you. I hear you. Yes, sir.
You love the kids at
I know.
school, and they really need, some help out of this stuff. I really don't know how to make it with that 13. If I can come up with some intramural basketball or coaching or something we can do, extra money, I can do that. I can give you some suggestions.
Well, and guess what? And we have done it. You're a paraprofessional?
Yeah.
This year we created an opportunity for the paras to be coaches as well. So I want you to go back to your school. What level are you?
I'm at North Elementary.
Okay, not at the elementary level, but you can, if there is a coaching position at the high school level, you can do that. So what high school, go to that high school, talk to the head coaches and see if there's something available. But I hear you about the parapay. We hear you loud and clear about the parapay. One thing you should know, a part of our conversations about all pay, we're looking at some of the lowest paid groups, which would include the powers, custodians and other individuals, secretaries. But to his point, let's support him. Good point. Someone says alternative certification, you have 2 masters. And so that's an opportunity as well. But to your point, we are looking at the pay, and we're working internally, again, as we strengthen our fiscal position so we can have a plan to ensure that, again, I don't want to hear you say 5 years from now, $1,300 a month, and that you can't get insurance, etc. We got to take away that dilemma, if you will, from our employees. And so just more work to do in that area. But with 2 master's degrees, and this is an area that, and I want everyone to know, if you're parents, we're working, we have a program in the district where if you want to transition from being a para to a classroom teacher, we've got some opportunities in our district for that to occur. And so I want to encourage you, along with all the other groups that want us to consider those pay raises. And so you all, I hear you. We've just got to continue to make sure we do it systemically. Just like you would want me to consider the paras, the secretaries want me to consider the secretary. You know how it goes. And so I've got to plan it out and make sure that we've got the money where it needs to be and consistently so we can sustain these efforts over time. Okay? But I hear you. What's your name? Clark. You said Clark? Good to meet you, sir. I'm going to remember that one. All right. Who's next?
Hi, Mr. Beasley.
Hello.
I work in I'm a healthcare technician in one of your elementary schools. I was formerly a bus driver in the transportation department. With the level of, with the salary that I have now, I did take a pay cut to come into this position. However, I felt like it would be to my benefit because I do plan to stay in this area long term. My question for you is, with the hours that I have, I feel like the county is actually doing itself a disservice by not allowing some of us that are getting off early to assist in the transportation area, because I know you have drivers doing double backs, triple backs, quadruple backs to ensure that our children get home daily safe. And because of Clayton County, I have my license and the associated paperwork to be able to go ahead and drive the school bus, but I can't do that. And being that I get off at the elementary school at 2:30, it wouldn't be a problem for me to go to Jonesboro, pick up a bus, and go ahead and catch a load out of Jonesboro High School. I understand that in certain areas, double dipping, if you will, would be something detrimental for the county, but in this situation, especially means that we're waiting for you to get everything situated so that we can appropriately be paid for the level of service that we can provide for you in the areas that we work. I'm asking to see if it's something that you would possibly consider allowing certain employees whose quitting time at one position is reasonable enough for us to be able to safely make it into another position and be able to further assist the county.
That's a great question. I'm telling you, we must know what we're doing to some degree, because we've already engaged in a conversation with the transportation department.
No, I came in as a bus driver, sir.
You said you came
I
in.
came in as a bus driver for transportation.
I know, what I'm saying is, this year, we started a conversation with transportation to see if we can implement a process that would allow other employees who don't mind helping us, and they have the credentials to drive a bus, to do some of the routes. And so, Mr. Walker and his group, they are looking at that right now. We were just trying to work with our legal department to navigate the little pain or the issue with time, but we believe we've got a solution to that. So more to come in that area. And so there will be, I believe probably sooner than later, some opportunities once we get all the processes worked out for individuals who want to maybe assist us and earn some money driving a few routes, as long as their school day is over, their work day is over, to help us in that regard. So we're working on that. So we appreciate you sharing that. Very good.
Dr. Beasley.
Hello.
Okay, so in my position, I travel to a lot of different schools in the county, and what I've noticed is that even with central office, with some of the employees and a lot of the bookkeepers, a lot of their job descriptions do not fit the actual work that they're doing inside of the school building or even in central office. We have bookkeepers that are backup nurses. We have bookkeepers that are sitting at the front desk. They're answering phones. They're taking hours out of their day. And we also have, different positions that now more responsibility is dumped upon them. So not only do they have the responsibilities in their job description, they have responsibilities in other people's job descriptions. So my question to you is, what is the district planning to do as far as reassessing the job descriptions and changing titles to fit not only the grade scale, but also their pay?
That's a fair question. So right now, of course, we are looking at possibly reclassifying some jobs. I think that there's an opportunity for us district-wide to look at that total, holistically. But again, that is a process because, I've seen it done in other places where they've done this, they do all these job descriptions and rewriting and they get this great plan, and then they don't have any money, and it just kind of tease everybody off because they don't do anything with it, and it sits there, and then it gets outdated. And so we're looking at that, and sometimes you got to separate the issues. There are times all of us are called to do things to help the team out. That's one thing. But there are times, if every day I'm substituting in your classroom, that ain't helping the team out. That's you need to come to work. And so there's an opportunity for us to address those type of issues as well, even as we look at reclassification, pay scales, etc., making sure that people are at the appropriate grade level, etc. So that issue is, to me, is more nuanced, if you will. Just listening to your responses, there's something we should do HR-wise with compensation studies, job descriptions, but then there's also something we should do as well, because if you're being pulled every day to do somebody else's job, my question is why they can't come to work and do their job. And so to me, that's part of that's part of the work that we've got to do in creating this high-performing culture in our school district, okay? So more to come, and so don't be surprised if you see a very organized effort relative to compensation study, job descriptions, etc.
Good afternoon, Dr. B.
Good afternoon.
I thank you for this opportunity. My concern is, once again, as you stated, that you would like for us to be professionals at all times, and communication is the key. Well, this is where I'm having a problem with that. You work in the middle school, and you're the first line of contact, as you stated earlier. When a parent comes in, that parent is already on 10. And if you don't tell that parent what they would like to hear, they go from 10 to 20 in an instant. However, as professionals, we do have to address that, and we do try to assist. But once they leave the school, they go directly to the county. They tell the county their side of the story. However, it's not highlighting how they behave in the school. So then when the parent come back after they've spoken with whomever in the county, they come back, they've got their issue resolved, and then they come back to us with an attitude, well, I did this and I did that, and the principal can't say anything. And it's just, we don't have any backing when it comes to what you all are telling us in the student handbook and the protocols. When we try to follow those protocols, we get ripped from one side to the other. All my concern is, when will we get the backing from the superintendent and the county when a parent comes in and behave unprofessionally?
That's a good question, and as I listen to you share that scenario, clearly there's work that we can do at our end to make sure that we're responding appropriately, acknowledging, because first of all, if the parent comes, and they'll leave the school and come to the central office, but if they come back with the attitude that they got, and nobody can, and we didn't do a good job, and I can assure you we will fix that. Because that is not the way they should be coming back to the campus. So if there's some training that we need to do on our end and establishing of some expectations and protocols, then we'll work on that. And just so you know, I made a note of that. We'll discuss that with the school leadership team, because oftentimes when they come to the central office, they will deal with the school leadership department. That would mean the coordinators who report to the assistant superintendents, and the deputy superintendent. So now that I've heard that response, that gives me some information to go back and work with our team to say, now, and honestly, that speaks to creating a healthier culture. A healthier culture. Because we support parents, we respect parents, but when you go from 0 to 20, or from, as you say, from 10 to 20, then we need to help them come from 20 to 10, back down to 0. And when they go back to that school, you need to go back in a respectful way. And so that's the work that we got to do. Yes, ma'am.
My concern is that I came in 4 years ago as a tech. And in the process of coming in, I became a secretary. The health techs don't get recognized because of the fact that we have to be certified. So if something goes wrong, our certification is on the line. My question to you is, with being a tech, are you guys going to help us when it's time for us to renew our certification? Are you going to give them some type of initiative as far as me being the secretary? I'm in school, I'm a single parent. So with my secretary pay and my bills at home, the bills is overlapping the secretary pay. And I'm trying to go back to school to educate myself. Are you guys going to help us, the secretaries, the health techs, the health techs and the secretaries in that process? Giving us something?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know, because I don't know exactly right now what this tech certification renewal requirements are, but I have written that down so we can go back if you share that.
I'm sorry, but I'm speaking of myself. I am a PCT certified, and I'm a pharmacy tech, and every couple of years, I have to come out of my pocket with $500 just to say certified. Amen. And it's a strain when you enjoy doing what you're doing, but then you still gotta, because you can lose your job if you're not certified.
I see. No, I'm clear. No. So, thank you for sharing that. So we'll go back and see how many employees, what the renewal process is, etc., the cost, what we can do. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I understand. I understand. You're speaking up for those in the need. There you go. That's good. Good afternoon.
Our concern as healthcare techs are that with our certifications, there is a steps that they have been talking about. However, if you came in and the steps are no longer put in place, we're still at a standstill. And however, in the summertime, when you all are needing assistance for the healthcare techs, there is a large pay increase there. That's $22, $23 an hour. And however, for the year that we're here during school time, it doesn't balance out. So there's three questions. The step that we're not able to get because we were not in place at that time. The second question is, how can you implement a raise? The third question is, if we're able to have those types of funding in the summertime, why can't we implement that throughout the consecutive school year?
So clearly, it sounds like you're the type tech that sent healthcare tech.
Yes,
So I can't answer that today, but I have made a note. You had 3 points that you shared.
Yes,
Step 3, so I have to go back and study that, see what's happened historically with that. Implement a raise, and I shared earlier that as we are reviewing all of our positions and salary scales, that will be a consideration. And lastly, you asked about the summer funding, and I know we have, we roll out certain jobs during the summer, we pay certain amounts. Your question, I believe, is why can't we just pay that amount throughout the year? For the healthcare tax. So we'll have to go back and study that as well, okay? So I appreciate you sharing that. Very good.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
My question is actually a two-part to this question, and pretty much just to piggyback pretty much after what everybody else said, when you come in at the lowest, even if you have experience or you have training or you have certification, being a secretary, and when you look at jobs that's posted, where you got a secretary one because you're in school and you're paid for certain things, but as you probably know, you got a lot of secretaries that apply for administrative jobs at central office that's classified under something different and of course pays more. You're doing the same thing in a school that you would do with, just say, your office or assistant. And I know a lot of secretaries, when they see these jobs come up for administrative assistants, they'll apply for them because they're more money, and it's basically the same job. However, my suggestion is, once you apply for these jobs, I know a lot of people in the county, you know, as you go through the process, they pick and choose who they want. If I've been doing a secretary position for 5 or 10 or 11 years doing the same thing, there's no reason why I can't get that administrative job too at your office or somewhere else. However, I just have a suggestion. Working for the military over 25 years, this was one process or system that worked for people. Like if you're at your highest step in your grade, you can't go no further in your position. Or what we were able to do, or what they were able to give government employees, and I know this probably don't work for the state, but every year for the government, we got a cost of living rate. 50 cents or $1, we got that regardless. However, when we got our annual review, we also got a raise, which was also ranging from 50 cents to $7, depending on your evaluation. So as we get evaluated as certified employees, health tech secretaries, as we get evaluated yearly, maybe, or this could be a suggestion, that we get a percentage or a raise according to your evaluation. Now, I know that's going to be difficult because you got some people evaluating who has personal problems or personal issues with the evaluator. So it may not be fair across the board to some people, but however, that is a suggestion and it works. Like I said, I worked for the military 25 years and it works. But regardless of the evaluation, whether my boss chose to give me a 50-cent raise or $5 raise, I still got a cost of living every year regardless. So that may help some people, or maybe a suggestion that maybe can help.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. Okay. All right, we'll have to do maybe 1 or 2 more. Since we have 3 o'clock. Okay.
Good afternoon, Dr. Beasley. Basically what I have to say is just piggyback off of everything everyone said. I have been in my position for 5 years, and since then I've took the opportunity to seek a degree. So my question is there any type of system that you guys are trying to put in place as far as funding and helping us to go back to school, to come back to work in the education field? And also, I know for me, with a lot of my administrative assistants and staff, we work very close together. Some of us know each other personally as well as professionally. We don't have anyone that we can go to voice our concerns to as far as a union or anything like that. It's okay to talk to your coworkers, it's okay to talk to your boss, but sometimes it's received differently when you're speaking from somebody from the outside looking in versus somebody in-house.
Well, to the first concern, reimbursement tuition, clearly that has funding implications. There's currently no tuition reimbursement program that exists. There has been some conversation floating around about possibly considering something to that effect, or establishing a partnership with Clayton State or some other university to see if we can approach that maybe differently. And so maybe more to come in that area. Relative to the support and training opportunities and collaboration opportunities, that's the purpose of the auxiliary support advisory. So you all can meet with me so I can hear what's going on. So we don't. What I want to do is get us to a point as an organization where we're dealing with issues and getting them resolved so we can become more efficient, more effective, and create that more positive, healthy culture. And so while this is maybe our first conversation, there will be more conversations like this. Like you give me a list of areas today that we need to go back and basically study and have some conversations with people. So when we have another opportunity like this, we'll bring a follow-up as to what we found out, possibly what we're considering in next steps, get your feedback and give you an opportunity to weigh in. This type of platform is not, in my mind, is not a one-time thing. It's something that we do as a healthy organization, okay? And so more to come in that regard. You've given me clearly like the tuition reimbursement. Several things to consider, but we consider those things within the context of where we are fiscally as an organization, what's sustainable, what's not sustainable, etc. And even now, as we talk about, let's say we decide to do some type of tuition reimbursement. We want to, if we invest in people to go to school, we want them to remain with the organization. And sometimes, right now, people jump the board, if you will. So we've got to work on our own structures and processes so that when we do have those programs, people are committed to us. Right.
So I would hope that I would need, acknowledge for, the opportunities and entries of the workers that would be because from what I can hear from your secretary, everybody really speaks more so from a passionate and concerned place. It's about money, but we're here because we want to be here, right? But we also want to be compensated for us being.
No, everybody's clear. That's how exactly. That's clear. Okay.
Dr. Beasley, we have two final questions, and then we're going to give information for you to email and submit any pending questions that you have before we end the session today. So we'll give the CCPS Communications email address to you before you leave, so please note it or record it or write it down and send those pending questions to our attention, and we'll make sure that Dr. Beasley receives them and we respond accordingly. But the last two, I'm going to go to this young lady in the back and then come to the young lady in the middle section here. And if you can speak loudly just to save us time from going around. Thank you.
Dr. Beasley, I just would like to know if we can get in our front office cameras. If we can get cameras in our front office. Always. Cameras, because as secretaries, we have parents that come in and sometimes they get irate. I've had parents that have threatened me. I've called the school police and filed a report. They never followed up on it. I worry about my safety. So if we have something that will show when we're trying to deal with parents and be respectful, and we're trying to treat them as adults, but they want to treat us as juveniles, at least I got it on camera. So that way, when somebody calls and says, after they go down to Central, and they make their complaint, and then somebody's taking me, talking to me
Get her a
Thank you.
camera. Got that on my list so we can see exactly where we are as a district with that technology. Very good.
Okay, I'll try to make it brief. In my position, I travel to schools, I work with school level bookkeepers and stuff. Is there anything as a proposal as either making the bookkeepers either 12-month or a 12-month secretary? The reason is there's a lot of activity that goes on during the summer times at schools, mainly middle and high. School levels have to hire summer help, which of course comes from their school budgets. We all know that everybody has to do fundraising to run their schools, to have money. We've had several bookkeepers that worked during this summer for free because they were off duty, they were not scheduled work days, they came in because the principal needed something. So is there any kind of proposals as making these ladies, gentlemen, 12-month employees?
Thank you.
Or either a school level 12-month employee for summertime?
Thank you for the question. There's not necessarily a proposal, but there is a conversation right now as we prepare for next year, fiscal year. There is a conversation about certain positions that possibly need to be 12 months. And I want to say bookkeeping would be one of those positions. So we're looking at that. But again, as you know, that is a fiscal impact that we're monitoring. But we understand that there's a lot that goes on even during the summer months.
Correct.
Relative to bookkeeping, etc., especially as we're preparing to start school, etc. So I've got that on my
Hold
list
just
as
a moment
well.
before you depart, please.
Well, and the
We're wrapping
bookkeepers
up.
come in because even though they know they're not being paid, again, like this lady said, there's no comp time, there's no overtime, they're exempt employees. So they come in because the principal says, I need you now, I need this done, and they don't want to jeopardize their jobs, and then they want to do a good job. So that's another issue that we have.
See, and that to me, that in addition to dealing with the 12-month status concern, that speaks to a culture as well. So, and then we sometimes contribute to principals feeling like they need to call you all into work because of our processes. And so it's several things that we need to be looking at to correct that, okay? So I appreciate you sharing that. Is that it?
Dr. Beasley, I apologize. This young lady in the white blouse and coat, I was oversight. You can go to her. We will wrap up with that. And then before doing so, just giving you the information so you can depart after Dr. Beasley closes us out today. CCPS communications at clayton.k12.ga.us. That's CCPS communications at clayton.k12.ga.us is the information that you should send all pending questions in attention to Dr. Beasley. And don't forget to sign in on your way out if you failed to do so per your arrival. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. I am a health technician. Can you hear me? I'm a health technician.
Okay.
And in my office, there and several other offices at school, there are students with conditions, medical conditions, that hinders them from learning at times. And so therefore, their behavior in the classroom time hinders them from learning. Sometimes it hinders other students from learning. So I believe my question is addressing the academic wraparound. And so I was wondering, have the school considered some type of support for students that have conditions that hinders them from learning? It's not that they don't want to learn. It's not that teachers don't want them there. It's just that there is a condition there. So, and like I said, it also stops young children in time. So I was thinking as a solution, or maybe you could consider maybe having a classroom for them where they can have a downtime to kind of pull things together, or I'm not sure what exactly how that would work, but that was my question.
Good question, and I'll just answer by saying this. Clearly, we've got an SST process to give the students the support that they need. But you should know this year we gave every school an additional para in grades 4 and 5. We call them a grade 4 or 5 para that they could use at the elementary level just to help in those type of situations. Sometimes kids just need a cooling off moment. And so we have schools that have shared that's exactly what's happening. They are seeing an improvement. And so I don't know what school you're at, but there has been an additional para provided that can be used in that capacity. So we can really sometimes is give our kids the opportunity in a quiet room, quiet space until they de-escalate, if you will. And so we'll continue, but always know that all of our students have access to the student support team process, and principals, administrators, counselors, and all should be working, depending on what the situation is, to provide our kids that wraparound support to help mitigate the impact of whatever happens on what happens in that classroom, the learning in that classroom. That's a process that's currently in place. Okay? It may work differently, if you will, or maybe different levels of consistency from school to school, but that's an area that we've got to continue to improve upon. But that process is in place. Well, thank you. Thanks, everybody. And just know we're going to do this again. It's been good hearing from all of you. And so the next time, I expect to see you all. We'll have some updates, okay?